Welcome back, everyone. As usual, we are two dudes talking 80s. I'm John. That's my partner in crime, Lewis.
Hello.
And, we were trying to figure out what we are going to do for our next episode. So we, did a little FaceTime, and Lewis looked at me and goes, "You know what, John? I feel the need for speed." And it got me. So I looked at him and I said, "Lewis, you big stud, take me to bed or lose me forever." I
Oh
won't tell
God.
you what
Oh
happened.
dude.
I won't tell you what happened after that, but so that's how this started. So of course we're talking about Tom Cruise, Pete Maverick Mitchell, Top Gun, 1986, the highest grossing movie of 1986. Isn't that how it kind of went down, Lewis?
I still can't get past the first part. I'm like thinking we need to re-record this, but we never re-record anything, right? So
No. All right.
wow. Okay, I can't recover from that one, John. I'm sorry. Yeah, just continue. Go ahead. It's
Okay,
all
so
you,
this is going
baby.
to be one dude talking 80s, and that'll be me. Apparently, Lewis is upset that I outed him on this. Do you remember? Did you see Top Gun in the theaters?
I did not see it in the theaters. I actually don't even remember when I saw it, but I know it was at home.
Wow, I know you saw Maverick in the theaters because I was in the theater with you.
Yep.
But no, I actually saw Top Gun at the Belmont.
Wow.
Yeah, that was back in when they had them out there. And one of the things that I fell in love with this movie, and it's kind of strange, right? Because it's not really my thing. Especially back then, I've changed over the years, but I didn't really care for war themed movies. And I guess you don't really consider this a war themed movie, but definitely military based. And I don't know what it was, but it just, from the first time I saw it, I just instantly fell in love with this movie. And it, yeah, it was a big thing for me. Was it for you?
Yeah, it sort of caught me off guard. I mean, I'm not one that's against military or war-based movies. It definitely there was a different angle that they used on it. It was just very high energy, the whole, training and flying. It made you want to be a pilot, and I remember a few people saying that just really made you want to, be a pilot. And I think that I remember back then them saying that enlisting actually increased a little bit when the movie came out.
Oh, I'm sure it did. I actually was reading that the Navy would actually do recruitment at screenings, right? What a
Wow.
better time. People, just saw Top Gun. They're all excited and, hey, let's recruit them. Hey, you saw that, saw those people flying jets. The Navy, we're the Navy. Here, go ahead, sign up. So, sure, a lot of people were really super motivated by that. It's kind of like, when we left theaters after Rocky, everybody wanted to jog home. Just when everyone decided, hey, let's just join the Navy. I had the long hair. I wasn't going to do that. Um, and then this, not only was it the highest grossing movie of 1986, but it actually kind of revolutionized the home video market. Because if you remember, back then, if you wanted to buy a VHS version, because that's all we had back then, they would sell it at a cost of about $100 to buy a brand new VHS tape. So typically, what would happen is they would sell it to the home movie or the video stores, right? You could go rent it, Captain Video, and go rent your movie. And Captain Video or whoever you rented it from, Tower Records or Tower Video, they'd get their money back by renting it so many times.
Right.
And Top Gun had a different strategy. They actually, I guess, Pepsi agreed to put out the movie or help support the movie on home video by including a Diet Pepsi ad at the beginning that was Top Gun themed. And I think it was either 14.95 or 19.95 that you could buy right as it came out, you could buy the Top Gun home video. And I think they realized after that wow, there's a market for this, that people actually want to own these movies. and you start to see more and more of these movies that would come out at a price point that was agreeable to the general public. So instead of renting it, they would actually just go ahead and buy the thing.
Very interesting, man. T's going to be proud of you. You've done some research. I didn't realize that this was the movie that kicked that off. I do remember that, when the whole VHS thing started, that you're absolutely right. If you wanted to own a copy of the movie, it was going to set you back, $100 or around that price. And then somewhere along the way, something changed where like 1995 or 1999 was the standard price for that you'd pay for videos. I didn't know that this movie actually was sort of the catalyst for that.
Ooh, catalyst. I like it. Yeah, big words, and that really was for that movie. Sadly, the movie didn't, wasn't all joy as you would hope. Actually, I was reading about this, and I think he was a 54-year-old stunt pilot. Actually, died on this film.
Wow, didn't know
Making
that
it,
either.
was filming it, and to this day, they've never recovered his plane. They've never recovered his body. So they don't really know what happened in regards to it. His last words, shockingly enough, was "I have a real problem." That
Wow.
was his last words, and that stunt pilot, sadly passed making this movie. We always think of movies as hugely entertaining, and they are. But making something like this, even when they did Top Gun Maverick, because of the real stunts as opposed to the CGI, you have to, there is going to be risks involved in all of this stuff. And unfortunately, this gentleman, I think his name was Art Scholl. Yeah, I hope I pronounced it right. Actually passed away doing this film.
What a trip, man. I don't remember that being publicized very much when the movie came out.
Probably would have been a bit of a downer if they had.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That is a bummer, man. Had no idea.
But I got a little bit else for you. Which of the cast that were the fighter pilots, or the pilots, or anybody that went up in the jets, who was the only one that never threw up? Who would you guess?
I don't know.
That's a very poor guess.
Tom Cruise, I don't know.
Anthony Edwards, Goose.
Really
Goose was the only one that never threw up.
interesting.
That's probably why they killed him off. So just I throw that out there.
You know what's funny is that I was doing some brief research before we jumped onto the recording here, and it wasn't until Top Gun 2 that I realized that, Tom Cruise's character actually had a name other than Maverick, and that it was Pete Mitchell.
Yeah,
And it just sounds so weird to refer to that character as Pete Mitchell, right? It's always Maverick, and the same thing with Goose, right? It was Nick Bradshaw, and it's like they don't really use those very much in the movie.
I don't remember Goose's name. That was pretty interesting. But yeah. So, did you have a favorite scene of this movie?
I don't specifically remember like a favorite scene. I know that the one at the end was really awesome, right? When they land on the air carrier or the fighter carrier. Yeah. And they get out and everybody's cheering them on, and Iceman and Maverick, they face off and become friends, and so that was really, really cool. I think that, that just the action of it. I can't specifically call out one scene, but just the dog fights that they were doing and the training and the music, the danger zone pumping in the background, and it's really, really just energizing. And I dug that. I dug that a lot.
Well, I agree. I think it's one of those movies where I don't think there was a particular scene that really stood out. I think the movie as a whole was so fantastic. I think most people, if you had to think of imagery from this movie, is are going to think of the volleyball scene. Obviously that was a standout. But I think, yeah, you're right. I don't think anything particular stood out. I just think the movie as a whole worked really well. Um, for me, it was always about the camaraderie between Goose and Maverick. They kind of felt like they were a great match, and they, what one brought to the table, the other one, didn't, and vice versa. and Goose seemed to be, more the grounding element for it. But I guess when they showed this movie in test screenings, there really wasn't a lot of love scenes between Kelly McGillis, who played Charlie, of course, and Tom Cruise. So I guess the audience kind of lashed out and like, what the heck? So they added two scenes. One was them in the bed, and the other was the elevator scene. And I guess this was filmed post production because they said Kelly McGillis had already colored her hair for a different role. So if you go back and watch it in the elevator, she's wearing a hat to cover her hair. And Tom Cruise's hair was actually longer for his next role. So those two scenes were added, and I think it was a combination probably of that and that the producers were so impressed with Berlin's "Take My Breath Away" that they actually wanted to add scenes to the movie so they could showcase that song.
Wow. Wow, you did a lot of research on this, John. That's pretty
Wow,
damn impressive.
I'm that kind of guy.
And that is definitely one of those other tunes. I mean, I had mentioned earlier Danger Zone, and that's one that you immediately associate with the movie. Take My Breath Away is definitely another one, and just totally ties into that, the romantic part of the movie. Great song. I love that song.
I think it's one of the better, if not one of the best, soundtracks of the '80s. You stole my Cheap Trick song a couple episodes back of hidden gems on soundtracks with Mighty Wings. Miami Sound Machine is on there with Hot Summer Nights. The Kenny Loggins, Steve Stevens, his guitar playing on the title track. Just fantastic, fantastic stuff. And of course Berlin, right? You can't forget about Berlin. Do you have a particular favorite from the soundtrack, or?
Uh, Probably my favorite now is Mighty Wings because again, it is something that I recently discovered. And it is such a great hidden tune, man. I just don't know why that didn't get more exposure. At least the exposure that again, Danger Zone and Take My Breath Away got because it is such a tasty tune.
Yeah, it's one of the much better Cheap Trick songs of the '80s. And it's again, like you said, it's not really something that's recognized. I kind of go back and forth. I love Miami Sound Machine on here with Hot Summer Nights. There's just something about that song that was kind of the song that introduced me to them and made me want to learn more about Gloria Stefan and Miami Sound Machine. So I kind of go back between that and Take My Breath Away. I just think Take My Breath Away is so iconic. Um, you know, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful ballad. And even when I've seen Terry Nunn and Berlin perform more recently, that song is still a highlight and still done incredibly, incredibly well. And yeah, to think I was on a flight with Terry Nunn once.
Really?
Yeah, we were coming back from New Orleans. We had gone out to some event, and Terry Nunn was on the flight. Oh God, the guy that did not Insanity, P90X.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of his name right now. And
Tim Horton, is it?
no, Tim Horton are donuts, but
Tony Horton.
Tony Horton. God damn it! Now I want donuts. Um, Probably not what he was thinking. I don't want to work out, that's for sure. Um, but yeah, I was on the flight with them, and I think the guy from Beachbody, and I was just like, man, if this plane goes down, nobody's gonna remember me. You know, that was my thought process. But yeah, been fortunate enough to see Terry Nunn in Berlin many times. Always fantastic. Weren't they one of the bands that performed in the '90s when we saw them at Bay Meadows Racetrack for the Alice event?
Yeah, yeah. I think it was just Terry Nunn. It wasn't Berlin, but obviously she did all the songs from Berlin, and she sounded fantastic.
Yeah, I think she's gotten some of the members back. I remember seeing that, and I saw her open for the Go Go's. I actually saw her play a mall for free in Irvine once many years ago. So that was a really cool experience. But um, throwing some more trivia at it, I gotta laugh at this. One of the people that they were considering for Charlie was Ali Sheedy from
Really?
the Breakfast Club, and she turned it down. Do you want to know why she turned it down?
Why is that?
Because nobody is gonna go watch a movie about fighter pilots. Whoops. Kind of regret that one, huh, Ali Sheedy? Yeah, she didn't think anyone wanted to see this movie, and apparently, I don't think, from what I've read, it doesn't seem like the script was all that great. Even Val Kilmer had to be talked into doing it, and the director, I think it's Tony Scott was the director, kind of told him that, hey, we're gonna flesh this out. Don't simply go on this. But so I'm glad he was talked into it because I can't imagine another Iceman.
No, no. He played that part very, very well and had the good look for it and everything.
Yeah. And then another thing, a little tidbit I had to bring up, I thought was really funny. You remember the scene where Kelly McGillis's character Charlie is chasing Tom Cruise, um, driving like an idiot and chasing him, and he pulls over and she says something to him, and then he kisses her.
I don't.
Just pretend you do. Go, yeah,
Okay. Oh, yeah, I do, Jonah.
yeah,
Absolutely. One of my
yeah.
favorite
Great
scenes.
favorite scenes. Yeah, I
Big
guess
fan.
Tom Cruise forgot his line. So he just kissed her. Improv. Director was like, I actually like that better. And yeah, it worked.
That's awesome, man.
So, yeah. We also have to give a little bit of a shout out to Meg Ryan. Um, this was before she was really a big star. She was almost there when she came into her own and suddenly became the queen of the romantic comedies for a long time. It was like guaranteed you saw Meg Ryan in a movie, it was going to be a huge moneymaker. Here she has a really small part, and I haven't read anything about why she wasn't invited back to participate in Top Gun Maverick. And I don't know if you heard anything about that or found anything. I didn't see anything about that.
I didn't. I mean, they actually referenced her, I think, in Maverick, saying that she had passed away.
Yeah, but no, that's true. Wow,
But still, I mean,
you
they
actually
could
did
have
it.
brought her in, right? They could have changed the script and had her in there, which would have been really neat.
Yeah, I mean, you can bring back Goose. It would have been cool if they had a ghost Goose.
The Ghost of Goose.
Ghost of Goose. So one of the big, fan favorite scenes in Top Gun was when they buzz the tower, right? Remember every time Maverick would buzz the tower and somebody would drop something on themselves?
Coffee, whatever.
Yeah. So apparently, all these fighter pilots, or the vast majority of these fighter pilots, were actual, Navy or former Navy pilots. So when they got the opportunity to buzz that tower, they were super excited, and I heard that there was quite a line to try and get that particular stunt to go to them. And I forgot the gentleman's name who won out, but he was super excited to be able to finally buzz the tower. I guess it was one of those bucket list items for most of them.
What a kick, man. Yeah, that was definitely one of the more famous scenes. And yeah, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny that people actually really wanted to do that in real life.
I can imagine. It's the one time I won't get in trouble for doing something that you probably have always thought about and always wanted to do. So
Right.
I definitely could understand that. Um, do you remember what Charlie was driving? You're a car guy, so I'm always trying
Oh
to.
gosh, I don't.
I know it was a black convertible, like it looked European.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay. So let me ask you, since you're a keyboard piano wizard, can you play? Can you play Jerry Lee Lewis? Could I take you into the bar and you could crank that out?
No, I cannot, man. You've got to have real talent to be able to play that, and that's definitely not me.
I guess that was another thing I was added in really late because Anthony Edwards said he wasn't even prepared for it and wasn't prepared to sing. And he just decided, for whatever reason, he decided to add that in.
Wow. Again, that's another one of those scenes that's pretty famous, pretty memorable,
Pretty iconic.
pretty iconic.
So obviously, the sequel many, many, many years later that no one was really expecting, um, came out in Top Gun Maverick. Comparing the two, would you say you have a favorite between the two movies, or
It's hard to say because I haven't seen the first one in so long. I can tell you that I really, really enjoyed the second one. I actually watched it recently again on I think it was Amazon. And again, there was a couple of things that I'll sort of call out that I thought were just way too improbable of actually happening. But if you can sort of put those aside and not analyze it, it was just a perfect movie. I mean, I was worried about them really ruining the whole Top Gun thing, but they didn't. They did a really good job. Very, very well done.
yeah, it was kind of amazing, right? Because for a year, we had the pandemic, and one of the things I really appreciated, and I know Tom Cruise was a big part of this, is all these movies that were in the can and couldn't be released, right, due to COVID and the movie theaters being closed. They were really pressuring the producers and Tom Cruise, I'm sure he's a producer, um, to go ahead and just release it on home video and just release it. I don't know if it was going to just be on a streaming service or what. And he kind of put his foot down and said, no, this is a movie that needs to be shown in a theater, that a theater experience. And, one of the things I was so thrilled about was he was absolutely right. And the box office for Top Gun Maverick was huge, huge money that they haven't seen, like that, numbers like that since before the pandemic. And I think it really was great to, bring people back and realize the joy of seeing a movie in a theater the way it's supposed to be seen. Unfortunately, and I'm just as guilty as anybody. You put me at home and I'll be watching a movie and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I wonder where that's filmed. And I'm on my phone looking up, but hey, where did they film that? And now I know, oh, cool. What else is around there? And, or, oh God, I gotta get the laundry now. I gotta start folding it. What did he say? I like the theater experience because it really forces me to focus on one thing and one thing only. And that's what I really enjoyed about the Top Gun Maverick. I don't know which I'd prefer. I think I might go with the original just because of the soundtrack.
Mm,
Top Gun Maverick, as great as it is, just didn't have the soundtrack. And I think that was, I mean, I think that was a big thing for me that, it didn't live up to.
gotcha. Yeah, I'm really happy that I got to see it the first time in a theater. I 100% agree that, the whole surround sound and, larger than life screen in front of you, it just changes the experience. It makes it way more realistic, way more involved. You get really absorbed into it. I'm sure that you can get, with a good theater system, something comparable, but it won't ever be the same. So I'm really glad, and I totally agree that with Tom Cruise, that it needed to be seen in a theater.
Absolutely. So, like I said, I'll lean towards the OG, but man, it's close. It's really close.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
One thing I didn't realize, John, and I can't remember. I mean, I know that he played Merlin. I just don't remember Merlin in the movie, but Tim Robbins was in it, and I don't remember that at all.
He wasn't in it a lot. He had a very small part, but yeah, I do remember Tim Robbins in it. And I guess that was kind of movie magic, right? Because they said he could never be an F-14 pilot because I guess he's like 6'5", and he would just be too physically big to fit in that. So it was kind of strange that they would have chosen him. But yeah, I definitely
Interesting.
remember Tim Robbins.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't. And there's a couple of other, actors that were familiar that I recognize and stuff, but him, it's like I have to go back and rewatch it because I don't remember seeing him in there at all.
Definitely a small part, but I remember him vividly in the movie. So cool. I think we're yeah, you kind of recovered well from the intro.
Thank you. Thank you. It took some subconscious subconscious pushing back, but yeah, it's I did what I could do.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Anything else you want to add, or we're good?
No, I think we're good, man. Again, Mighty Wings, if you haven't heard it or don't know what we're talking about and you like Cheap Trick and you like 80s sort of rock slash glam metal, please listen to it. It's such a great song.
You're not wrong. And if you like a little bit of Latin flavor to it, Miami Sound Machines, Hot Summer Nights, also fantastic and such an underrated gem. But I would agree on both of them. Well, as always, we appreciate you guys watching. Please hit subscribe if you haven't done so. Hit the like button. We'll try and find some other 80s topics to talk about. I'll promise I won't throw Lewis off from the get go. And take us out, my brother.
Peace out.
Thank you guys.